Okay, this video is going to walk you through the law of large numbers and how it affects experimental probability versus theoretical probability. Let's just say real quick here, your uncle tells you a story about going to the casino for the very first time in his life, and he won the jackpot. He won $1,000. However, as he went back the second time, he's probably thinking the same thing. I'm 1 for 1. I should win the jackpot. But you know what happened? He didn't win the second time he went. And the more times he went, the more he got the outcome that should happen, which is lose money. So the law of large numbers is about telling you what happens as you do things more and more times, the more they should go towards what should happen, which is theoretical. So let's try this real quick here to see an experiment like this as well. So if I have a coin and I've got heads and tails and I'm going to flip it, and the first time I flipped it, I get heads. I'm going to do it 6 times. So I've got heads in the first flip. I'm going to do it again. There I got heads again. And then we'll flip it again. See what happens. Man, I'm getting lucky here. Heads again. And then, flip it again one more time. You wouldn't believe this. I got heads again. This is crazy. Having a lucky day here. And then let's go again. That was not a very good flip. Let me do it again. There's a flip. I got tails. And I'm going to flip it one last time. And then I got tails again. All right, so what that means is then, as I go to my own game, and let's say I want to know the probability of me getting heads. Now, based on my experiment, I got heads 4 out of 6 times. So, based on my experiment of doing the coin 6 times, I got it 4 out of 6 flips, which then means 2/3 of the time I was getting heads. Was I lucky, or was that just a fluke? Well, actually, I was lucky. I wasn't supposed to get it 2/3 of the time. I was supposed to get it something else. Well, there's only 2 outcomes, heads or tails, so we know theoretically we're supposed to get heads only half the time. Now, if you're only getting heads half the time, then you should have had 3, but we got 4, right? But based on our experiment, it's 4/6 probability, which reduced down to 2/3. Next, if I'm looking at the law of large numbers, like your uncle going back to the casino, you're supposed to lose, right? But in this case here, the more I play this game of flipping the coin, I should lead towards what's 1/2 the time. Now, you're going to notice in the questions in the homework that they're going to say, hey, you're going to do something more than just 6 times. You're going to do it, let's just say, 450 times. And they're going to ask you, how many times did you get, or should you get heads? Well, we know the probability of you getting heads is supposed to be half the time. So if I take 450 times 1/2, the answer is supposed to then come out to be, take your calculator out if you need to, but 225 times you're supposed to get heads. You'll be getting several questions in your homework that are like that as well. So the big idea behind all of this is, when we ask you about the experimental probability, it's based on what you experienced. I got 4 out of 6 heads in the time that I actually did the experiment. Just like your uncle going to the casino. He thought it was going to be 100% of the time. But it's not. The more you go toward it, based on what you know about the experiment, it's supposed to happen half the time. So the more times you do it, the closer and closer your outcomes will get closer and closer to half the time, and in this case, 225 times. Now you try the homework questions and see what you can get, but again, at the end, when they tell you a certain number of times, take what should happen times that large number, and that'll be the number of outcomes you get. Good luck.